Bring it to me. Peace, folks, and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. Folks, we got a lot of great conversations to jump into. First, we got to talk about these migrant flights. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, the Republican governor, has put a number of undocumented migrants from Texas, sent them 700 miles to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. We'll talk about the breakdown and the implication of this new political strategy. Also, can we talk about the White House hosting its first white extremist and hate summit at the White House? It was convened by Black civil rights leaders, including Al Sharpton of the National Action Network and Mark Morial of the Urban League. And so we'll share with you what was said, what was discussed, and is this a good first step? We'll have that conversation. And let's talk a little bit about children's choice. Should you give your child the choice on what they eat, whether it's breakfast time or dinner time? This is sparking a new debate based upon a new TikTok mom who says that she gives her children a menu of things to eat, a menu. We'll talk about that. Plus, if you're opening up a school, shouldn't you know something about the importance of reading, writing, arithmetic? I'm going to share with you what Kanye West has said and why it's indicative of where our culture is. Folks, we got a lot to get to. Join me on my online culture crew and stay with me. You're tuned into the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big shout out to my online culture crew. What's up, crew? What's peace and what's popping? What's going on? Folks, I'm so happy that you're able to join me this afternoon. We got a lot of great conversations. Plus, of course, we got our two dynamic culture crew members. We got Iman Heath, who's going to be joining us in a few moments. She is an activist and an entrepreneur, and then we're also joined by Lise Winnie, who is a podcaster. She's an activist and an advocate, and she's host of the Millennials Anonymous podcast. She's going to be joining us in a moment as well. And of course, I want to make sure that you are a part of the conversation, because no conversation is complete without you. So we'll certainly welcome your comments. But we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. First and foremost, have you been hearing about these trips that Republican leaders around the country are doing for undocumented migrants, those who are coming into, various states, Republican-led states, and how Republicans, Governor Abbott, Greg Abbott of Texas, the Republican governor down in Texas, he's been doing this for months, folks, where he takes undocumented migrants to Texas and shoots them somewhere. He sends them somewhere. You might have heard the latest story where they, some undocumented folks was shipped to the home of Vice President Kamala Harris. just hundreds of people dropped off, literally just dropped off right there in her backyard, right there in her neighborhood. And so it's been taken to a new level now with Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who decided that, you know what, I am going to rip a page out of the Trump playbook. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in a moment. But this is what the governor did last week, folks. Check this out. He took undocumented migrants from Florida and from Texas, out of Texas, shot them 700 miles from the Florida state line to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. And of course, we know Martha's Vineyard is one of the hot spots and what they'd say for liberal celebrities and former presidents such as Bill Clinton, former President Barack Obama. Now, this is what Mr. DeSantis said as to why he decided to take plane loads of folks and just send them someplace. Check this out. Keenan, let's show this quote, bro. He said, check this out, and this was last week when he did the 700 miles from the Florida state line. You can take a look at there, folks. He sent these undocumented migrants out of Texas to Martha's Vineyard. And he said, quote, they were homeless. This is what he said about the migrants at an event on Sunday, this past Sunday in Green Bay, Wisconsin. He said they were homeless, they were hungry, and they hit the jackpot to be able to be in the wealthiest sanctuary city in the world. Wow. Now, it was just reported by the New York Times that the ambitious governor is betting that the tactic will not hurt the re-election race in Florida. He's up for re-election in Florida, folks. He said, and in this reports that the nation's largest political battleground and will I'm sorry about that. And looking at that, also will re-inject, the issue of border security into the midterm election. As voters remain focused on economic uncertainty and abortion rights, it remains unclear whether immigration will gain a major foothold in the final weeks before the election in November. Wow. All right, I'm going to bring in my crew here. Let's bring in Lise Winnie. Let's bring in Iman Heath. Let's hear what they got to say. And I'm going to share with you some more details about this crazy-ass political stunt that the Republican governor's done. Lise, Iman, thank you so much, ladies, for being a part of the conversation as usual. Lise, what do you make of this? What do we say about now? Let me just say this: Democrats, of course, on the other side said this is quote unquote un-American. They said this was inhumane, and they basically said, "Bruh, what the f? Like, what is wrong with you?" And he knows it's a stunt. He knows it. He absolutely knows it. But what do you make of it, Lisa?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's un-American because they did this back in 1962. It was called the Reverse Freedom Rise with white segregation. It's actually sent unsuspecting black people to the north. And, what one of their leaders said was, let's see how much the northern people actually like the Negro. So this is very American. This is what has been done in the past. Now, what I will say is that it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And it's crazy that you're not only sending them to, Vice President Harris's house, but now they're actually preparing to send them to Joe Biden's house. Delaware is now, waiting for these migrants to come because they've gotten wind that there may be a bus of migrants from Florida that are actually being sent to Joe Biden's home in Delaware. I don't know what the end goal will be, but I think that DeSantis is playing to his voters. They very much want to hear this. He got a standing ovation in Florida over the weekend. This isn't going to hurt him at all. And we do need to look at immigration policies and how we're handling this in the U.S. But, and whether or not he actually did commit a crime here. Now, moving them is not necessarily a crime. You cannot smuggle immigrants, people who are immigrants in the U.S. across state lines. However, the immigrants there actually had been screened and he moved them. The issue is the fraud, like whether or not they actually were willing to get on this plane or the bus. And even Arizona has done this, their governor there, whether or not the immigrants knew where they were going, because some of them thought they were going to Boston to go get expedited asylum papers. You can't do that. So let's see what actually happens in the legal system with DeSantis. But right now, I don't think we're going to see this in, Texas has sent 2,000, I think Arizona about 1,800, and DeSantis has sent 50. And then this new not busload, this new plane that's going to Delaware. I don't know what we'll see with this, but it's definitely a tactic.
It's a crazy ass tactic, Iman. And if governors, Republican governors, are so bold as to do this, brazen, blatantly, out in front, they're not running from it. It speaks volumes about where we are in this country. But more importantly, DeSantis is up for re-election. Guess what? There was a poll that was done. New York Times, Siena did a poll. 51% of people believe that the Republicans handle the illegal immigration issue better than Democrats. So how many people, do you really think that people are going to push back on this?
This is what the Republican trumpets, this is something they would probably cheer for. The part for me that is not hard to understand, but like, what the hell is, when it came to abortions and abortion rights, it was the Bible says this, the Bible says that, God will condemn you if you do this and do that. However, you're using actual human beings as political pieces to prove a point, or to show that you're the big bully, or to show that you have the bigger balls. At the end of the day, it's like they said, it's inhumane. There have been plenty of cases since, I believe, April. 12,000 people have been sent to sanctuary cities with the information, thinking that they were getting this or getting that, when that wasn't the case. You sent, most of the time, people who it's hard for them to speak English or understand English, to Massachusetts, to a vineyard, and gave them a map and said, good luck. Then you send them to Kamala's home. Now you're sending them to Delaware, to Biden's home. It's like it's a character show at this point. Like, let me show you how I can really get back at you as much as possible to make a point that, hey, this is an issue. But nothing is being solved. It's simply like a back and forth catty ass young girl show between Republicans, not Republicans, Democrats and Republicans.
Right. And here's the thing, sis. And this is my concern, that he is so arrogant and so sure that he's going to get reelected, that he actually might get reelected, even with a political stunt like this. Lisa and Iman, Florida is a Republican stronghold. It's become like the new central, new hub for Republican. Trump is down there. You got DeSantis down there. You got a lot of Republican folks that are down there. So this might not really do anything. I mean, in the larger conversation, yes, we're going to always be, oh my gosh, this guy is crazy, boom, boom, boom. And it might hurt his election chances on the presidential side of things. But for Florida, I mean, if you look at some of the policies that are already enacted by this governor right now, he is working as if there are no consequences, there are no boundaries. He is working with great impunity. And that's the concern that I have, that we're not going to really see any type of punishment, any type of consequence on this, lease.
I don't think so. I mean, you also have to look at, Florida used to be purple. I think right around Bush, I think that's when we started to see it go more red. It used to be purple, and there are places where there are big Democratic strongholds in Florida. But I don't think we will see a lot of repercussions for this, because, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people see Democrats as not handling immigration well, and Republicans use the same talking points, that Democrats want open borders. Democrats want open borders. This is Joe Biden's fault. When actually Trump imposed Title 42, which actually limits asylum seekers from they can send them back without them getting any asylum papers at all. And Biden continued that, especially when it comes to places like Venezuela. So he continued a lot of those policies that Trump had in place. It's just that we need to have a more comprehensive immigration policy here, like a pathway forward. But I don't think you will see DeSantis and Abbott having an issue.
No, not at all. I don't think so either. Keenan, let's put up the second quote. because I think this speaks volumes. It takes us a little deeper into this conversation. Then we can get some comments from our online culture crew. But check this out, folks. Here it is. New York Times reported the idea of transporting migrants to Democratic strongholds was considered by the Trump administration. Stephen Miller, the former president's policy advisors, and others in the Trump White House pushed the move as a way to strike back against sanctuary cities that refuse to fully cooperate with federal immigration authorities. The plan was rejected by Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials, ICE, over liability and budgetary concerns. Mr. DeSantis secured $12 million in the state budget to transport unauthorized immigrants planning to come to Florida, an amount that suggests that more flights are to come. He said the migrants had to sign a release form and had been given an informational packet that included a map of Martha's Vineyard. So he's using state money.
I want to say, I also want to say that was a bipartisan bill. So the Democrats and Republicans there approved that budget with that amount in it. And I don't think that part was mentioned, but that was a bipartisan approval.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Iman, what are your thoughts?
It doesn't help. Giving them a map, saying good luck, it doesn't help. But again, you want to bump your Bible when it's convenient for you. However, you don't carry Republican Party. They don't carry it the same way with every situation. Again, like I said, to take a human body, to take a, you know what? This sounds very American, like Lee said, to take people possibly unwillingly and transporting them elsewhere, misleading them to think it's going to be this when it's not that. This is very American. However, let's not forget the good book and the good Bible and the good word that, you know, when it comes to abortion rights and LGBT community, now it's everybody to just let's follow the rules, let's bow our head and pray. But you can't keep picking and choosing. That's the perspective I just don't understand. Pick one. Either you're going to be humanitarian about it and follow the Bible, or act like jackass. Pick one.
Oh no, sis. Oh no. It ain't about pick one. Because that means you got principles and morals. Oh no. No. You gotta bump the Bible, because the Bible, I mean, and I'm talking about this modern day Republican Party was built on those quote unquote those conservative principles, right? But the people that are conservative, that they don't, man, please. It just is crazy. They don't go by those principles themselves in their personal lives. I mean, how many, and I'm just saying it's not just, this happens on the Democrat side, but how many Republican lawmakers have side chicks, babies that not by their wives? Yeah, I'm gonna take a drink of water of that too. Come on, let's be for real. It's the whole, like, I'm the holier than thou approach that we see coming from this party. Like we're real Americans and we're real religious people. Get out of here.
It doesn't look like.
Get out of here.
It doesn't look like.
It's not. And you know what? And I personally, and I use the term because this is the terminology that we see in the national vernacular. But what the hell does it mean to be real American or un-American? This country has broken all the rules when it comes to human rights and civil rights, right? And treating people fairly. So when you're talking about being real American or un-American, what the hell are you talking about? Because what's the standard?
The line is
right. Has this country in its 400 plus year history of this country? At what point has this country have shown they have created a standard on how to treat people right?
Y'all tell me. But to be American, I think what they mean is whiteness to a lot of people in this country means you are truly American.
Right. I get that. But guess what? The whiteness, come on, we don't have to go down no long list. We could just look over the past 25 to 30 years.
We don't have access to the same whiteness, white privilege that comes with just being the color you are. You don't even have access to that. So hell, I'll never be a truly American, ever.
No, we don't have the same access. And guess what? We don't have the same rights.
Exactly.
We just don't have the same rights. So when we're talking about that, go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
No. Go ahead. You might make my point. So go ahead.
No, I was just making a point. Like, we just don't have the same rights. So therefore, to Iman's point, like the privilege and the rights and the ability to move the way you want to move, that's not happening for Black and brown and Native American and even Asian American. It's just not happening, right? Like, it's moments like this where you start to look and see, you realize, you know what, damn, I'm still at the bottom. Like, I still don't have autonomy over my own life. And the sad part about it, like the immigration situation is so crazy now that for the average American, we're still trying to wrap our minds around like whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure people get out of a crazy situation they might experience at home. But honestly, because we look at American media, we really don't know what's going on in some of these places. We don't know if the people that are coming over are just mad as hell just because their government, they don't like their government. So they create the narrative, oh, the government is a threat to humanity in this part of the world and that part of, we don't know. Unless you visit, unless you live in those places, you don't know.
I mean, some of the countries is pretty documented that it's pretty bad there. But what I will say is that here you're right. When it comes to us not knowing, a lot of the people that aren't in the border states don't have to deal with a lot of the issues that come along with you having an immigration problem. But I think we don't want to demonize immigrants, because this country was founded and built not only from Black people, the labor of Black people, but also from immigrants. When you look at the railroads, in California and all of those types of things, when you see the jobs that a lot of these immigrants do, they actually did a study when they had Americans do these jobs, especially a lot of the jobs in like farming, picking strawberries and things. They quit. They did not want to do those jobs, and those jobs just didn't get done. Now, those are places that we have glaring holes in this country where we cannot find people who want those jobs. And you have people who are coming in who will work those jobs. I think absolutely we can't just have anybody and everybody come in here. We don't have the capacity to do it. But we do need to figure out a way that we can make a pathway forward, because the immigration process here is not the most simple process. It can take years. We're talking about people that have been here for 20 years on visas. It's not a simple process. So to streamline that and to figure out that these people do bring value.
You know what? And you're right. But the thing about our immigration system is, even though the legal and the technical part of the immigration process takes a long time, we don't just kick you out in this country. You literally can still work in this country, right, while you're awaiting your immigration status. So to that point, yes. You know what I'm saying? And there are so many complexities, because at the root of it, and I always try to look at, okay, outside of the policies of how people get here and all of those things, and really at the root of it, do we want to be a country where we open our doors to the world, or do we not want to be that country? And I think that's the fundamental question of when it comes to immigration. If we don't want to continue to put ourselves out there as this haven, this sanctuary, this heaven on earth from your native home, if you don't want to put it out there, I think then we need to have a different conversation. But that's why, and I mean, even with Donald Trump, when he was in office, he was like, look, we got to close the gates, man. We got to close the borders. But again, to your point, Lise, that's not the brand. The brand of America is come on over.
But also, who to whom? Who are you stopping from coming here? It's brown folks, because Black and brown folks, because when you talk about immigrants coming in here, they have people that fly in planes. Europeans come over here as immigrants. Who are you stopping from coming here? And it is mostly Black and brown folks. So we do need to have a conversation. And I think that we do need to have a nuanced conversation, because there are some issues with the policies that we have now. And I think Democrats have been very, very poor on getting across a clear pathway of what immigration policies look like under Democratic presidents and policies. Like, we have done a terrible job at that. So I think that we do need to do a better job, but this is not it. This ain't it.
This ain't it. All right, let me take a couple of comments from our online culture crew. Folks, y'all checking in, got a lot to say, and I appreciate it. Shalenda, kicking us off this afternoon, you said this: DeSantis needs to be jailed for kidnapping under false pretenses and kidnapping. I think you need to take a number, sis. He probably needs to be jailed for a lot of things. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think it's going to happen. Tiana, what'd you say, Iman?
It's going to help his campaign. Like, it's going to help. The fact that he's showing that he's a big tough bully and he stands on what he says, but this is going to help. Kidnapping
it's going to help a lot. Look, let me tell you, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, all these guys, they don't care about expanding the party. They care about strengthening their base. Yep. They don't care. Like the politics of make sure we get everybody as much as under our tent as possible versus y'all riding with me. I just want the real ones. If you riding with me, then fine. I don't care about nobody else. They're not worried about. No, they're not worried about trying to attract independents, or they're trying to attract the young black voter. They're trying to attract the dissatisfied. If you dissatisfied, if you hate government to some degree, right? If you don't like this level of government being in your business, your personal life, and all of those things, come to us. It's very straightforward. It's very straightforward.
Death Row Records. If you're tired of
Death Row Records
videos, come on over to Death Row. That's what it's at this point.
I love it. Tiana, you said, look, they were misinformed and kidnapped. Yeah. I mean, they went to another
it's bad when it's bad when Trump, they had the same idea and Trump people say, I don't know about that. Like, this is a bad policy.
I wouldn't have
Trump, everybody around him went to jail. Like, no.
But how about you want to bet, Elise? How about you want to bet Trump probably be like, damn, he did that. I was trying to do the. He probably hates DeSantis. I bet you Trump hates DeSantis because DeSantis is doing the stuff that he couldn't do, and Trump is probably fuming about that. Like, man, he did that.
Who the hell did he talk to? Who? Why don't I know who he is? I'm Trump.
He probably told to the scene, well, how does he do it and I couldn't do it? Sir, you had to go through the ice. He probably hates DeSantis. Plus, he's a governor and he knows something about the actual system. Oh, he probably hates DeSantis. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. I bet you if DeSantis puts his hat in the presidential election and Trump decides to run, he's going to go in on DeSantis. He's going to hate that man because that man is who he wish he could be.
They said he won't. So if Trump gets it, he won't put his hat in. So
yeah, right. Yeah, right, Lisa.
We'll see.
All right, Lisa, you checked it. You said this move may backfire on him. Some of Venezuela's people are fleeing socialism and think America is freedom. Florida has a Venezuelan electorate that may frown or on singling out their countrymen lost votes. They may not. I don't know, Nisa. Sister Nisa, I don't know. It may not. Corinna, let's hear what you got to say. Corinna, I know I'm saying your name right, girl. Javier Salazar, Bexar County Sheriff, announced he is opening an investigation into DeSantis. He didn't use his name, but made it very clear it was him. Yes, he is doing that. And guess what? He probably won't get far. That's probably what it is.
I just want to make sure you pay attention to how she spelled his name. DeSatan.
She did right there.
You did that. I like that.
Damn, Coretta, you really slipped that one in. I'm looking at DeSantis. You know, your brain tell you, oh, it's DeSantis. Oh, she just misspelled. No, Negro, it's DeSatan.
I feel like that's
Chris V, you said what I want to know is who is all the money getting pocketed that Florida taxpayers are paying for this stunt? Facts. There's no way it costs over $600,000 to fly 50 migrants from Florida to Martha's Vineyard. Right. If I was a taxpayer,
independent contractors.
Let me tell you something. Real talk, as we close out on this part of the discussion. If I was a taxpayer and you using my money for a stunt like this, your ass is gone, son. Like everybody in Florida, I'm talking about black folks, brown folks, whoever. Y'all need to be voting that joker out. Seriously. There's no way in the world he should be reelected governor after all of this stuff that he's done. Don't say gay, the whole, everything. If you look at how this dude just moves in Florida, and I don't even live there. Matter of fact, one of the big reasons why I would never live in Florida is because of DeSantis. And, you know, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm telling you, I can't do it. I can't. I literally have family that live in Florida, and they always talk about the beaches and the sunshine. And I'm like, that's the only thing that's happy in Florida.
Yeah.
Because the policies are crazy. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with it. All right, look, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, let's shift gears. Let's talk about what's happening with migrants to what's happening with us as we're still grappling with race issues in the country. And the White House has decided to hold its first forum on extremist hate violence, extremist violence and hate. And with Reverend Al Sharpton, Mark Morial, and other civil rights leaders serving as the helm of this effort. We want to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to give you the details of it, but I'm going to ask the question, is this a good first step? So we will have that conversation. So stay with us. A whole lot is coming at you in the next few minutes of the culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Make sure y'all continue to show y'all support for the Black Star Network. Go to blackstarnetwork.com to financially support us in the great work that we are striving to do each and every day on this network and on this platform. And of course, even if you can't give money, make sure you share the content, tell your friends and family about it, download the app for free. And also while you're there, make sure that you follow all of those who are on the Black Star Network, including yours truly. You can follow me at The Real Farajii on my Instagram, Farajii on Twitter, and Farajii Muhammad on Facebook, as well as make sure you follow us all, whether it's Dr. Jackie, or if you're talking about Deborah Owens, or you talking about, Tech Life Step, anybody that's on this platform, make sure you follow us, stay connected. We would truly, truly appreciate it. All right, folks, I wanted to have a second conversation talking about something else. And I think that many of us probably didn't know was happening, which is the White House continued efforts to try to address the issue of extremist violence and hate in the country. Now, we know that President Biden has come out against MAGA Republicans, as he termed it, to talk about the level of extreme violence that we're seeing, not just from January the 6th, but also from that point all the way up into this present day. How we're seeing a number of violent attacks, hate-filled attacks that are happening, from the shooting at Tops Supermarket to other unfortunate national tragedies. And so the White House decided to move forward on hosting a summit, a White House summit called United We Stand. It's a summit where they're saying it's the first step to combat extremist violence, white extremist hate and violence. Take a look at here, folks. And this was a summit that was done on Thursday, this past Thursday of last week. And it was an event that brought together civil rights, women's rights, and religious leaders, among others, to address what the White House notes as a rise of hate and violence in the United States. Now, take a look at this, and Keenan, let's pop this on there. Thank you, sir. It says the day of the summit also marked the 59th anniversary of the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 Black girls were murdered by members of the KKK. This is the report coming from our sister, April Ryan from the Griot. She noted that civil rights leaders Al Sharpton and Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, were 2 of the leaders behind the push for a White House level forum to Democrats for Democrats and Republicans, along with civil rights and faith leaders, to collectively call out and seek policy solutions to the issue of hate-fueled violence and white nationalism. Man, oh man! Now this is something that Reverend Sharpton said. He said that, quote, "We can't keep fighting only in our particular silos. We need to come together." In talking about the importance of the summit, he said during his remarks, President Biden publicly called out social media companies and the need to hold them accountable for, quote, spreading hate and fueled violence on their platform. He urged Congress to, quote, get rid of special immunity for the tech companies and impose much stronger transparency requirements. I want to bring back in Lise and Iman to talk a little bit about this White House summit. And I'm just posing the question, is this a good first step? I know that people have said this is a good first step, but I'm wondering, because we are in touch with our people, right? We're talking to folks that aren't privy to some of these spaces. So I'm wondering, is this a good first step? Iman, I'm gonna start with you on this one. Do you think this is a good first step for the White House to hold a forum like this, led by our civil rights leaders, women's rights leaders, and others?
It's to me, it's giving fluffy. Like the conversation.
It's giving all fluffy?
It's giving fluffy. It's giving, let's do this to, I don't want to say alleviate the issue at hand, but we've been having these conversations. Like it's been, and maybe just not hosted in the White House, but these type of conversations and meetings and gatherings have been going on, and there hasn't been an actual tangible result or resolution to the conversation that just keeps being had. It's repetitive at this point. So I think host it in the White House, it may make the conversation greater or bring more people into the conversation, but this has been something that has been happening. Like this is not new. The problem that we have is not new. Yeah. Trying to come up with solutions to fix the problem is not new. So to me, it's like, okay, like I guess.
So where did we? I mean, and I think to Iman, to your point, it's like this is such a big thing, right? And at least I appreciate the White House trying to do something. You know what I mean? But it's such a big issue, and it's like, do we have all of the voices at the table? Did we make sure that the victims of hate crimes in this country are heard? You know what I'm saying? It's like, where do we start in something like this? And I think that's the big part. And again, I'm not going to just crap on the White House for trying to do something, but I just don't want it to get, like Iman is saying, so fluffy and so like blase blah. And it's like, oh, another conversation about policy that doesn't translate to, say, action in the streets, that doesn't translate into, you know, stiffer consequences for those who do commit hate crimes. Where do we start with this?
I mean, I think that this is a good first step if you want to make it known that this is what you stand for. I think this is a political step. I think you're right. Maybe it should have been a little bit more open to the public. There should have been more people involved, more conversations being had while you're there. When you look at the statistics, most of the hate crimes in this country are committed against Black people. And so I think maybe opening up that broader horizon. It's great to have Al Sharpton and a lot of the religious older leaders, but maybe bring in some of those young folks in there. Like you said, maybe bring in some of the people who have actually experienced some of these hate crimes or have not, you know, had a chance to really get a platform. We're not talking about the ones that you see, but maybe the ones that you don't see, like actually having a platform, an open platform for them. But I'm not going to knock the White House either. I think that this goes a very far place, especially with midterms around the corner, for them to actually make this stance when there's a lot of Republicans who are saying that Democrats are doing identity politics. So for them to go out there on a limb like this, I think it's saying a lot. And on top of that, when you look at the history of where people were on civil rights, like look at even with JFK and RFK, they weren't always for desegregation. Like this wasn't what they were for, but it was when they actually started to get involved with the civil rights movement and people like Dr. King, when they actually started to make sure that not only was RFK out there and making sure with voting rights with JFK, but also for inequality, and that there were African Americans who were starving in their own country, and he went after that part and making sure that economic equality, he wouldn't have known that had he not been involved and not had these conversations. So they're very much needed, and I hope that we continue to have these conversations, just adding in more people.
Yeah, I hope so too. Divine X, you checked in and you said is the first step in anti-Black hate bill. A lot of people have been talking about, you know, where is our hate bill, considering that the Asian community got some level of protection from the government.
Like the first 100 days of Biden's administration, when they got in, the bill was signed, sealed, and delivered.
We got to do some research though, because like there were bills that we have civil rights bills on the books, and I think a lot of people don't. I'm not saying we don't need more, we don't need to go further, but we have them on the books, and people still commit those crimes. We do need to do something in this country. I'm not saying we don't, but we have those on the books. And when you look at the anti-Asian bill, it was fluff. There's nothing in that bill that really is going to change anything. There's nothing in that bill that really made a difference. It was all fluff. So we can't just say, well, I don't want that. If that's what you want, they can slap anything together and pass it. I don't want that. Keep it.
Here's what I would rather see. And I'm agreeing with you this on Lise. Here's what I'd rather see. If you want to stop hate, then why don't you empower Black folks? Like there's always, there's that old saying, I believe it was Frederick Douglass, is like, if you want to stop, and I may be really wrong on who I attribute it to, but they said the saying was, if you want to destroy white supremacy, then you have to basically elevate Black excellence, right? So I think that from that vantage point is like, we always try to, and I'm saying from a organizer's point of view, if you have a negative force coming at you, then saying what you don't want another negative force to combat an incoming negative force, it doesn't always work. What may need to happen at this point is that the negative force that's coming after needs to be overwhelmed by a positive force. Well, what is the positive force that we can give? What can we do? Maybe we can do something where police reform is stronger. Maybe we can do something where we can look at the RICO laws, and just because you got 3 black men hanging out together, they don't automatically seen as a mob or a gang. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's those type of efforts, like going in the direction of, okay, let's look at the current policy and see how we can take that further along versus trying to create new policy. You know what I'm saying? Because I agree with you, Lisa. I feel like we got all these policies on the book, but then it's like when it comes down to implementing these policies or enforcing these policies, it becomes all up in the air. And it's like you got legitimate stuff already on the book. I don't want to reinvent the wheel when it comes to changing the condition of black people in this country. I think we just need to do what we say we're going to do. If you're going to do a police reform, then let's do it. If we're going to do voter rights, then let's do it. That's how you empower people and you get people to feel better about who they are. That's what I'm thinking. Iman, am I wrong on this?
Yeah. You're not wrong at all. I don't think you're wrong in that aspect, but I also think we have to take responsibility to empower ourselves. I will say that. I don't think that we should look to any type of political or government officials to empower us. It need, like how children, their behavior starts at home. We have to start with us. Another takeaway from this conversation as well that they had was focusing on social media and cracking down on their terms and conditions as far as hate speech and things as such, right. And not showing violence as much. But I think that we shouldn't take that route. I don't even think social media should have been a topic of conversation because, for me, I don't watch the news. So seeing
where do you get your news from outside of Black Star Network?
Social media. Social media is one of my news outlets. Now, I'm not saying everything on social media is accurate, not at all. However, no. I think when something, this saying, out of sight, out of mind, if they start to crack down even more on the violence that we see or don't see, it's going to get to a point where it's like, okay, we don't see it, so it may not be happening. So I think we need to continue to see it on social media platforms. Now, I'm not saying, for example, PNB Rock, may he rest in peace, when he was killed, it was a video on social media of him literally laying in his blood. I don't think we should see things like that. However, when it comes to police brutality, we need to continue to see that, because again, outside of mind, we don't see it, then it's not happening, but that's not true. So I think that's going to take us backwards if we limit social media to what they can and cannot say or allow.
I think social media should be regulated. I think social media has played a huge part. I think social media has played a huge part in shaping the narrative or shaping the content and creating the context on how we have these discussions. Because we see it on social media. There's a piece that the USA Today just put out today talking about propaganda through memes. And a lot of misinformation is through a simple image, those little memes that we love to laugh at. Some of them are funny and some of them could be highly political and incorrect. So, when we put out certain things and people share those memes, people share posts and all of those things, right? But I think social media continues to kind of add fuel. It fuels to the fight. It gaslights conversation every day, right? And it needs to be regulated in some way, shape, or form. It's so powerful and so big, yet it has no accountability.
I can agree. But I agree with Amon, though, in a way that I don't know if having this conversation about social media in this landscape was the place to do it. Like, I get that a lot of this stuff is spread through social media, but I think that that's more political. I think they're starting to bring in, because you saw everything that went down in 2016 and in the 2020 election with all of the information that was being passed along on social media. So I think that was more political than racial. So that you're talking about something with race, of course it needs to be included, because social media it's a total disaster. Like, it's just a disaster area. Right. But I think really having these nuanced conversations about voting rights, because, that's always under attack and assault, making sure we strengthen that. And then, of course, making it easier to actually prosecute for a hate crime. Like, those are the types of things that I think that they should have been focused on and making those an easier pathway for that. But I don't know if we will ever have those conversations truly, because it's going to be really hard to change somebody's mind. You're talking about mindset. You cannot put enough policies in place to change somebody from being a racist. Like, you just cannot put that in policy.
Right.
That's mindset. So we need to change.
That's the hard
minds.
part. That's the hard part. Let me just throw this quote up in there, and then we're going to get a couple of comments before we take our next pause. But look. I want to share with folks, as we talk about social media, there's some other things that were highlighted during this all-day summit last week. According to the report by Sister April Ryan, she said that at the all-day summit, it included the Department of Justice announcing, and Keenan, let's put this on the screen, bro. It included the Department of Justice announcing that in all 94 offices of U.S. attorneys around the country, there's going to be a United Against Hate initiative that is designed to ensure that communities are connected to law enforcement to root out and reduce risk of hate-fueled violence. Also, according to the White House Press Secretary, Sister Karine Jean-Pierre, she highlighted additional actions made by the White House and its partners, including the launch of Dignity.us, which is a citizens initiative to, quote, address hate-fueled violence in America, to foster dialogue to communities across the country and identify solutions to address hate-fueled violence. She also noted that the newly announced group called New Pluralists, which she described as a cross-partisan philanthropic and field leaders who are mobilizing $1 billion in new investments to increase support for programs that build bridges among Americans of different backgrounds to foster unity. She said also finally that the more than 140 mayors have also signed the new bipartisan compact to combat hate and extremism, committing to stand up against hate, violence, and increase their support of local initiatives and heal divides. So there are a number of different things that are like happening. And Iman, you are not feeling none of these things. Or is it just one of them done?
It sounds like we've heard these things before. The list of before, but it's like, give me an actual tangible example of these solutions. Rather than saying, well, we're going to do this and we have an idea to get this done. What is the idea? Bridge the gap. Okay, like how? Have free block parties that's going to unite the communities, or have more walking the street rather than sitting in their car? Is that like what's an example? I need an example of what they want to get done, because it sounds
right. And that's the part. That is going to be the part. All right, let me go to some of our comments from our online culture crew as folks are checking in. Truth is Power, you said what the president is mimicking the steps when Martin Luther King went to see Lyndon B. Johnson. It has to start somewhere. As long as someone has a seat at the table, there's progress. Well, we got seats at the table in the Biden administration. You know, I mean, Reverend Al Sharpton, Mark Morial, women's rights leaders. I mean, you know, you got the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and other groups. They've been sitting at the table. And y'all remember when we talked about the conference or the meeting that they had right after the president made his address to the MAGA Republicans a few weeks ago. Black civil rights leaders sat down and talked to the president about hate and all of those things. And that's part of it. Was this summit that came out of that conversation, that meeting. But the thing is, I'm with you, Iman. It needs to be some ground level stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Something that we actually see happening, rather than you keep talking.
I mean, look, there are a number of organizations that can hit the ground running and spreading the message. You got the Movement for Black Lives. You still got like the NAACP Youth Division. You got the Nation of Islam. You got churches and all across this country. Like, there still needs to be some ground level stuff that has to happen to bring people together. And I think that's the part. Now, again, we could just maybe this is just about policy, which is fine. But I don't want to get wrapped up in policy talk or push a new policy, and then we got old policy that is still good for the interest of all of us, that's just lying dormant on somebody's desk. And that's the thing, you know what I mean? And I think at least we're not seeing that level of connection. Maybe the White House is going to do it, but all of this stuff that I just laid out is on policy level, institutional level, and not ground level.
Agreed, but again, it's local. Like the federal government only has but so much power over state and local government, right? So you also have to have these conversations in your local area. I honestly think that some of the biggest issues with what's going on with, you know, hate in this country has to do with economic wealth. So you have a lot of people who automatically, they don't have, inflation is high, people aren't growing the way they want to, so they look for somebody to blame because, you know, Lord forbid you look at yourself, but people usually look outside of yourself for a person to blame. And who is that? That is the Black people. It's Hispanic people. They're looking for somebody to blame. So I think that it starts there. And I'm a big believer in having these conversations, like, you know, Ms. Ryan said, of actually bringing people together. If you don't know a Black person, the first thing you're going to do is believe whatever it is that you see. So I do think that we need to have these conversations, but not just in the Black community. I think we also need to have this is a white problem. Why are white people not in these conversations? Like, can we start there?
Yes, y'all are the problem.
Let's start there.
Let me reword that. White supremacists are the problem. The racists are the problem. Why the hell aren't they at the table as well? The victims, we need help. We getting shot in churches. We getting shot at the supermarket. Okay, but the actual representatives of, I guess, I'm not saying the Ku Klux Klan president sitting at the table. However, why aren't they there? The people who need to be held accountable for their bullshit, why are they not here at the table? The victims, we keep crying, we've been crying for years, crying for decades, crying for centuries. What about those who actually are committing these crimes against us? Where the hell are they at? At home watching CNN?
No, they don't watch
in the Congress.
That's
they don't watch Fox. They're on those chats.
They had the black in the black.
They're on Reddit and some of them other ones, right? All right, so this goes back to my statement, and I agree wholeheartedly with both of you. This goes back to my statement of not looking at a situation from a different perspective, because this is the same, and Iman, you've been saying this is the same thing we've been talking about, right? This is the same direction. You got to look at this thing differently. You got to look at this thing. We're victims. So we are the oppressed. If the White House, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, if you really want to make a dent in the narrative about race in this, about hate in this country, you need to call out, not just call them out in a presidential address. You need to sit down with these guys, because they're willing to sit down with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the things that I'm learning about the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and all, these guys are giving interviews. These ain't like, they ain't hiding behind no sheets, man. They're like giving interviews. They're talking about their issue. So that means that what that says to me, ladies, is that you can, okay, you want to sit down and talk. You want to talk about what you want. Maybe that's the time to do it. Maybe that's what we need to do. Let's get the less hot-headed ones to come to the White House. If you want to have a hate summit.
What could be something that they want that wouldn't negatively impact us? Like, what is something that they would want that wouldn't oppress us even further? That's my question.
I mean, and let me answer this. Let me answer this, and y'all tell me if I'm way off base here. You know what they want that would not affect us negatively? Separation.
Oh, I'll take that. Martin Luther King said, He led us into a burning building unknowingly. We can take
y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but let me hear me out on this one. And I'm saying separation in like they will literally probably say, y'all take this place, this state, we take this, and this. How do I know? Because the KKK has said that, and to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, they have said that publicly, they have said it behind, they want separation. They don't want nothing to do with us. And I'm just saying.
As long as it's equal, I take it.
I don't want Jim Crow. I'm not legally signing
No,
up
this
for
ain't Jim Crow. No, I ain't talking about Jim Crow. Jim Crow ain't separation. I'm talking about.
I get what you're saying. You're saying separating this. Right. I get what you're saying. But to me, it sounds like Jim Crow. Anything that a white supremacist is okay with, I am not. I don't think separating in states from blue states or black people and white people is going to be the solution, because we have countries that are separated and they fight each other all the time. If you don't know a white person, you're not going to like white people. If you don't know any black people, you're not going to like any black people. That's just how that works. And honestly, I think that we're going down a pathway of division. And the more we separate each other, the more we have these silos, as you can see over the last couple of years, the worse it has gotten. I think Dr. Martin Luther King said that because the economic issues in this country were one of the biggest issues ever. When we're talking about white supremacists, the Proud Boys
let me push back on that. Let me push back on that.
Okay.
I don't think this country has really taken the idea of separating seriously. I don't think we really have done that. I'm talking about, if you separate from somebody, it's just like in a marriage or in a relationship. You walk away with something and I walk away with something. And I'm talking about equal separation. If you're talking about give me a piece of land, y'all get a piece of land. Give me this part, this resource, y'all give me this part, this resource, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about separation like separate but equal, but we're still under Jim Crow law.
No, I get that. But even with your example there, if you have a divorce and you walk away with something, it's never even, because a lot of the times we do not look at the problem, and you take that same problem into another relationship and hurt someone else. And then it goes outward to the people around you. You never solve the problem if you do not actually have that conversation to sit down and fix what's going on. And if we separate, we will not fix those issues. You might as well break us up in separate little countries, and because there's no way it would work. You cannot have a house that is divided that will stand. It is impossible. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that is the solution. I think trying to find ways to work together is better.
And I think that look, and as we got to take a quick pause, but there have been so many efforts of separation or not separation, so many efforts of a mutually beneficial, integrative society. And we're still seeing hatred, not from Black people. Because Black people don't go around burning stuff and throwing bombs and stuff and tearing. This is not, and this is for my white watchers.
But if you separate Black people, we will still have issues. Like, we need to stop this illusion that if we separate, it's going to be perfection.
Look, here's the thing. And I'm talking about between Black and white. I'm talking about, how do you stop the hatred, right? How do you stop the hate-fueled violence? And somewhere along the line, white people, particularly those who ascribe to that sort of thinking, they have to be called to account, right? Then you got to also say, okay, so what is it that you want? What do you want? Because America is at this place. We're diverse. We're more multi-generational, more multicultural than we've ever been in the history of our time in this country. What is it that you want? But I don't know if people really, I'm not talking about, I think that the conversation is so big that, like, it would have to take the White House. It would have to take the White House to be the arbiter of that conversation. But you got to have certain people in the room.
I'm going to end on this.
Yeah.
But I'm going to end on this. When you talk about separatism, when you look at it and you say we're together today, but we're really not. You can actually go on blocks and see that it's a white block, that's a black block, white block, that's a black neighborhood. We are so separate and we don't even realize it. And I think that is the problem right there.
I agree. Look, we're separated among black people.
Agree.
We're separated among black people. There are some black people who don't think that that we can live in a separate existence outside of white support, outside of a white oriented structure. So there are some black people who say this will never work, and I see some people in the chat that say this will never work, but it had worked. Y'all remember Tulsa? Y'all remember all of the other black towns that were thriving, and as a result of jealousy and envy and anger, was burned down.
It worked for black people up until a point, but this is my problem. The separatism is what caused it to get burned down. We can't have that where they know exactly where we are. All we got to do is this, and we can burn it down. No, we need to figure out a way. I feel like to work together.
If we had the opportunity to create a defense, you can't Taylor. Let me tell you, this is warfare, folks. You can't separate from America and then not have an army to protect you at the same time.
Oh, so you're talking about leaving the country. You're talking about you want to take all the black people
I'm just talking about.
Why would we leave here? We did this.
No. This country. We built this country. Why are we leaving?
So you're saying you want to ship the white? You want to ship the white people?
I'm not saying that.
So
No. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. I'm just simply saying that what we saw in Tulsa, what we saw in Rosewood, it was a situation where we thought, and our people probably thought they were federally protected, right? From policy, because that was a policy. Y'all get your own space. Y'all do your own thing. At the time, we thought, okay, American government is going to protect us. Then those travesties, those massacres occurred, and guess what happened? We weren't federally protected. So if that's the
black
state,
people ever thought they were federally protected, I think they thought we were leaving them alone. We're doing what they told us to do, and they're going to leave us alone. And that is not what happened. So I know we were leaving them alone, but no, that's exactly what I'm saying. They came to Tulsa in order to, hurt black people. I don't think black people ever trusted the government. Do you know any black people that ever trusted the government?
No, but you got to remember the time frame, though, Lise. No, I'm just saying at the establishment of that 100 years ago, you just getting out of chattel slavery 100 years ago, where we certainly wasn't in the culture and the sentiment that we're in right now. Yes, we believe the government. I think we believe the government.
Hell, we believe the government 50 years ago.
Hell, we believe the government today.
I think we believe what we want to believe when we want to believe it.
Hey, look.
But we can fight over this all day.
This conversation. We will put this conversation on pause. This is why we need to have another summit. The president needs another summit with some real folk to come up and bring some of those hateful voices to the table. Real talk. You got it, and I think we can all agree on this on this panel. You can't talk or have a conversation about hate in America if white people are not at the table.
Agreed, but they got to understand you're not coming to the table to be pleased. You're not coming to the table.
No. You better be at the table to either listen, to learn, or and more importantly, to be punished in some way, like to let them, the government if the government of the United States is serious, and I'm talking about under President Biden and Vice President Harris, if the government is serious about stopping hate, the government is going to have to be much more harder and say, look, we will shut you down. Just like the president made those statements, like you better bring an F-15 if you're coming against the United States government. Just like he went hard in the paint on that, you got to go hard in the paint on hate in this country.
The problem is them Proud Boys, them white supremacies, they bring in money. High key or low key, how they doing it, they bring in some type of money. And it goes back to the point where I think being separate, we can get our own pocket. We can sit at the table. Hey, we got to talk.
We got to talk. All right, look, we got to take a break. Let's take a pause. What'd you say, Lise?
I said we 13% though, so we would be very small. So I think that's the part we got to have a whole conversation. But
that's a whole different conversation. And trust and believe. Trust and believe. Hey, trust and believe. If we were to go to the government, not just as Black people, but as oppressed, we would not be 13% anymore.
I agree with that.
We would have backing. We would have backing. All right, we got to take a quick pause. As we come back, more conversation. Stay with us, folks. There's a lot to talk about right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. We truly, truly appreciate that. Make sure that you continue to support us and go to blackstarnetwork.com and support us as we are striving to reach get many new subscribers and get many new supporters for this Black-owned media and this institution that we have. So go to blackstarnetwork.com. Folks, I am just, with my dynamic sisters, Lise Winnie, Iman Heath, and as we're having this conversation about the White House's efforts to try to at least address some of the extremist violence and hate violence, I wanted to just take a couple of moments to take a look at some of the comments, because folks have checked in, and let's bring Lise and Iman back into the screen here, Keenan and Ariel, thank you. Because folks are checking in and having a lot of views about what we just said and just discussed. And I think it's important that we include them into this part of the conversation, because the hate that we see in this country, and I think it's wide ranging. I think the hate in this country is so deep, and I think a couple of people made this point. It's so deep, it's so entrenched, right? It would be like the country being made anew again. You would literally need to either start from scratch, which is probably impossible at this point, right? Or you need to make some very dramatic efforts to apologize, to punish. I mean, there has to be some dramatic things that would need to be done if we're talking about seriously addressing the issue of hate in this country, especially hate in this moment right now in 2022. There has to be some dramatic changes that would need to take place. And I'm not sure, and a couple of people who were saying this, and I want to make sure that we're pulling up the folks that were saying this. Folks were like, we're not sure that even in this present moment, with given where we are on race relations and gender issues and all of these other things, that we may not even have a government that is really able to kind of host or withstand this type of pressure. And you know, it's made me think during the break, like, is this true? Are we at a point now with our own government where it is, I don't want to use the word useless. I don't want to say that. But the problems are so big that it can't address it. I'm saying this in the context of hate, dealing with the hate issue. Is this problem so big that America, the United States government, just really don't have what it takes to address it? And Iman, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then we're going to go to our online culture crew.
Like Lee said, it's a mindset thing. The government, no policy can change a person's mindset. Maybe their behavior. Hey, if you shoot up this church, you'll get a lethal injection within 2 weeks. Or if you decide to harm this person because of their color or ethnicity, then you'll maybe change their behavior. But a mindset, no, we can't change that. So I do think it's the roots are way too deep. And like you said, Farajii, it would have to be something extremely dramatic, even down to like the credit system. When it comes to buying a home, the mortgage policies, like a lot would have to be dug up and have to start over. Right.
Lisa, what's your take on that question? Do you feel like this problem, because it's a big problem, and I feel like, and you know, I don't want to be us to be in a space where we're just downplaying the White House efforts, because I think they're trying. I think the president wants to kind of see things get a little bit better. But is it the problem too big for that even the United States government can't even really handle it?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a mindset. When you're talking about racism, how do you cure racism? You can't do it in policy. I can't tell you cannot be biased. I cannot make sure that, you know, put a policy in place to make sure that you don't have issues with people of color. It would be very hard to do that. So I think the only thing they can do, sort of like what Iman said, is put things in place that people get punished for hurting other people and making sure that the economic system does work. I agree with her 100%. I think a lot of the issues that African Americans have in this country stem from the fact that slavery ended. They didn't give us anything. Our families pretty much had to dig themselves out of the bootstrap. And all while they're doing that, they are building up walls and literally red line and tape to keep them in this box so that they can never financially grow in this country. That's an issue. We do need to work on making sure that things are more equitable, not just equal, but equitable in this country.
Right. I would agree. Conscious Thought, you posted a comment, and then we want to highlight it because I think it speaks. I think it's a really, really strong thought that you put out. You said 100, Black people need to be better organized. We lack the coalescing cohesiveness of our elders and ancestors in seeking to help liberate ourselves from tyrannical white supremacist, separatist, nationalist rule. 100. Yeah. Better organized.
That problem with that is that, like we've always talked about, being comfortable. I think because back then we're hung from trees now, but it was done more often, done more publicly. We were harassed by canines and we were sprayed with water hose. I really think because we aren't being physically treated bad, or we can't physically see someone wanting to spit on us because we're sitting next to them at IHOP at the table over from them. Like, I think because we aren't being treated that way and it's not outward as often, I don't think we'll be able to unite or organize in that way, because a lot of us are comfortable or okay with what's going on, because it's not really, I guess, it's not close to home, if that makes sense, even though you are part of the Black community. But some of us.
But the issue is it's not racism. It's a problem with wealth. Like, so what we're talking about is a wealth issue. There's a wealth gap issue. And a lot of the issues when we see, even with police violence, who are the people that get targeted? Poor Black folks. I'm not saying that cops don't go after wealthy or Black people, but when you see it concentrated, it is in the poor Black communities. We need to focus on economic freedom, economic equity, economic justice, and I think we will start to see things get a lot better. But I think that we focus on all the other things around it and not the root cause, and that's it. It's wealth. It's wealth.
And you're saying wealth in a sense of that it will help to alleviate some of the pressure of that of hatred? Is that what I'm understanding from you, Lise?
I think that it'll alleviate a lot of things, because then now you have a chance to actually sit in spaces that you wouldn't. So you dictate who sits there. Right now, we don't really get to dictate. We can't get out of those communities. The people that are in those poor communities mostly look like you. If you can live in a community that is predominantly white and more Black people can live there, we too can be able to have a better outlook for our children and be able to actually integrate, because honestly, we really have done a terrible job with that. Like, they told us it happened, but when you look at schools, there's a Black school and there's a white school. We've done a terrible job with that, and we can't live in those neighborhoods because racially, they made sure that financially Black people cannot afford it. So that's what it is. It is a financial Jim Crow that we don't talk about. That's the issue.
I see it. I can understand that. Truth is power. You said, Farajii fam, truth, Farajii. Enforce the laws that protect us, and then we can move forward. You got all the Constitution and laws. Enforce it. That's what I say. Enforce what you already got on the books. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want no new promises. That's how I'm feeling at this point, Iman and Lise. I don't want to hear no new promises. I just want you to do what you said you were going to do. And if we got some loose ends on the policy side, let's get that done first, because the new promises, that stuff is going to, man, then you got to go through the process of getting that codified, making that into a policy and all that. No, I want some wins. And I think that the wins
40 acres and a mule.
I mean, that would be nice, Lise. It would be nice.
You take the mule, but I take the 40 acres.
Well, you can keep the mule, but you know what I'm saying? Maybe a John Deere. How about 40 acres and a John Deere? How about that? Because I need that thing to till the land. But here's the thing, though. Like, I just want us to finish something. And I feel like the conversation with Black people or Black America, and, we talk about the contract with Black America. It is a contract that has no definitive timeline. It's a contract that is left unsigned. It's a contract that is open. And we need to close out some stuff dealing with how we can move forward, whether it's the equity issue, whether it's the health issue, whether it's education, because in each one of those sectors, there's racism, there's hatred, there's systemic violence, right? When you have, to your point, Iman, when you're talking about the credit system, that's like financial violence against poor people. You're going to penalize people for being poor, but you are part of the system that created poverty. So you penalize them for being what you created. That's satanic.
Very much.
You know what I'm saying? If a person tries to, we always talk about go to school, go to college. And I'm not saying anything bad about going to college, but the conversation is you go to college, you come out, you get a good job, you can take care of yourself. We're seeing that that's not the case. but then you penalize us with the debt, the student loans. Okay. You penalize us with health. You want us to believe that you got our health and well-being, the interests of our health and well-being at heart, but you penalize us with high drug costs. And if you get sick, the insurance on the health care of Americans is just a burden. So you penalize us for being sick, even though when you get sick, you know, we get sick from your products.
And we pay that health insurance bill every month.
We pay this bill every month. And then we come into the hospital and we like, hey, can we get coverage on this? And guess what happens? We don't cover that. You got to pay out of pocket.
And to piggyback off of what Lee said, we're targeted because like we don't have the money. The Jewish community, they are a great example of when you have money, you have control. It is a block around here, Green Spring. They have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, M&T Bank. I'm not exaggerating. Some other small local bank, and I forget who Wachovia used to be, but they literally in the same shopping block have these banks next to each other. They have the wealth to be able to have these banking locations, and banks aren't just built in certain areas just because the space was available. Let's be clear about that. It's done strategically. So the community has the church they need for this, or the recreation centers for their children. Like, they are a great community to show an example of when you have money, you have control. They don't deal with police brutality. The police will think twice about guarding someone that has some type of control because they know those repercussions could and probably will actually happen. But with us, what the hell we want to do? Because we don't have that wealth.
Yeah. And guess what? Let's stop telling people that they can make millions of dollars the way we see celebrities and athletes. You can't get that much money. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I talk to my son, he said, Dad, I want to be rich. I said, what does that mean? I want to have a lot of money. Okay, you want enough money to take care of yourself, to do some things, to enjoy your life, and not let money be a constant burden on you. I get that. But you may not make $500 million in your lifetime. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay. Because the system is not designed for all of us to be uber rich. There's got to be
or to make it in that space. Like, you can be, and I think this is another cultural conversation that we can have.
But it's okay for us to temper our expectations in the sense of, look, man, the system, understanding how the system works. For all of us who are watching this show and who have been a part of it, y'all know how this system works. If you watch this show or any other show on this platform and you walk away saying, I'm going to make me $200 million, knowing how the system was working, you somewhere along the line, you lost a lesson.
Now hold on. There is a way. However, now it's not going to be a microwave effect. It's not going to be
what? No. Tell me. Keep it 100 with me, Iman. What way?
Well, for example, I'll say me, for example, being a hairstylist. As time goes on,
200 million.
I can get to that point. Maybe not at the age of 29 right now. However, I can get to that point. If I take that money from this one stream of income and start another stream of income, so on and so forth, where I have residual income, I can get to that point when I make 200 million. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying
that. Here's what I'm saying. The mathematics of all of us making it, quote unquote, to that level, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
Yeah, capitalism doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Not all of
it doesn't work like that.
Capitalism doesn't reward the majority. It rewards the minority.
Correct.
Right.
It just doesn't fit that way. You know what I'm saying? And the way, and so when we're talking about all of these structural things that are happening in this country, And people, I for a long time, I know for me personally, for a long time, when I heard the term structural violence, I just could not wrap my mind around. It's like, damn, what does that actually mean? Structural violence, structural violence. Now I'm starting to see it like structural violence. That means that you give somebody an idea that they can do this. They could be at a certain point in their life. They could be at a certain level, but you create all the red tape and then you tell them, all right, try to get through the red tape. They might get through one level or two levels, then you throw something else new in there that they didn't expect. Beat them down a little bit. All right, try it again. You beat them down. That's structural violence. After a while, you diminishing something on a human level, not just in terms of a professional level. You are diminishing the soul of an individual to think of themselves as being greater. That's what I'm seeing. That's the impact of structural violence.
I agree, and it goes a little bit further than that. You also create a level of control, because if you keep doing something and you feel like, let's take education, for example, higher education. It was supposed to be the great equalizer. Black people went to college. That's not necessarily what happened. We actually take the brunt of the debt. Now you created a generation of people who don't want to go to school, that don't have any knowledge at all or education, and they don't know what they don't know until they don't know it. Now you can control them because they don't have the knowledge. So it creates that level of structural control as well, which adds to that. So I think we are in a very slippery slope or slippery place. But coming back to it all, I think at the end of the day, it does have to do with us creating some equitability and money, because that will start to change things. When you look at the way that this country is set up, and unfortunately, it's not the way it should be set up, but it's the way that it is set up when it comes to money. And the money is a lot of the issues that we have, especially when it comes to Black people not having. It's money, and they want to keep that away from Black people, because if you don't have money, you don't have any control. Money is power in this country, and
absolutely,
it's unfortunate, but money is power.
Absolutely. So I think that when we're talking about all these things, it's so much deeper, right, in terms of hate. And when you're saying, like, what are the cultures? What is the environment to create hate and allow hate to prosper? I think that's the part of these summits that they haven't yet gotten to, that we as the people should help them to understand. Like there's a reason why a white man would want to go and shoot up a supermarket full of Black people, right? There's a reason that level of hate, that level of they're taking something, they're taking our country and all of that stuff. Like, you got to deal with that. And you can't deal with it from just the victim's point of view. You got to deal with it from the perpetrator's point of view. What's your take on that, Iman? And then we take another pause.
Number one, it was never your country. Let's be clear. I agree, Farajii. It has to come from a place, we try to understand what the hell is your issue, what's your problem with us, but they have to be punished and held accountable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have to be held accountable. All right, ladies, we got to take another pause. When we come forward, folks, I'm going to share with you what Kanye West has to say about education and what he does and does not do as he opens up his own private school. Yes, Kanye West is opening up a school. This is going to be indicative of how far of the culture we have gone. Stay with me for that conversation. And of course, continue to follow us on all social media platforms. Continue to follow me at The Real Farajii. Connect with me. Let's continue to have the conversations. That's coming up next, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, talking about race issues to now getting into a conversation about education. Superstar, multimillionaire Kanye West, who has gone the gamut of getting his hands involved in a lot of different things, from the fashion world to hip hop to politics. And now he has put his hand into education by opening his own private school, folks. I'm not joking. Yep. Here's the thing about it. Look at this headline. He recently launched his own private school, which is called Donda Academy, after his mother. May she rest in peace. And in this private school, he's already enrolled 100 students. Now, they have already had to sign non-disclosure agreements as being a part of this school. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And this is according to Rolling Stone, that asked the question, what the hell is going on at Kanye West's mysterious new private school? This is the piece that they put out there just a couple of days ago on September the 15th. But when Kanye West was asked about the importance of reading, here's the thing. Here's a man that's opened up the doors for a private school, but then he asked about the importance of reading. This is what he had to say. Take a look at this quote, folks. He said, when you said I hadn't read this book, I actually haven't read any book. Lord, be with us. Now, he said this on a podcast called Aloe Full Mind, released last Friday. He said, reading is like eating Brussels sprouts for me. And talking is like getting the Giorgio Baldi .com corn ravioli. He said, referring to the Santa Monica restaurant that is known as a haven for celebrities, and underlining that he thrives more on conversation than book learning. The rapper's comments come just weeks after the launch of his Donda Academy, a new Christian prep school in Simi Valley, California, that aims to provide the youth with the passion, purpose, and spiritual foundations they need to thrive in tomorrow's world, according to its website. Let's bring Lise. I don't want to go any further without having my sisters take this journey with me because it's going to get dark and twisted like a fantasy.
That it is. Interesting. Kanye's
Wait a minute.
an interesting
okay.
fellow.
All right. So all right. Let me just throw it out there. He opened up a school, y'all. But he admits that he does not read.
Not even the Bible? He didn't read the Bible? How he know what's in it? Like, I'm confused.
Let me just share this. This came from the article as well. Let me tell you how Kanye West reads stuff. And y'all can tell me whether this is genius or not. His take on reading extends from books to cell phone texts as well. He explained that he took the advice of a friend who works in the tech industry, who reads the first and last sentence of long text from his mother, and West noted that he responded the same. This is Kanye West. He said when his mom texted him long paragraphs talking about this friend of his, he said that he was told that he reads the first sentence and the last sentence. He said this person and his brother invented the fastest track vehicle. They put it in G.I. Joe. They have government contracts. This guy is a full-on engineer, works with all geniuses and for practical, not opinionated, practical technologies. And he only reads the first sentence and the last. What do you think my response was? Same.
Makes a lot of sense.
Read the full
Makes
text.
a lot of sense.
And here's why I say this is indicative of the culture. Because it speaks volumes about how we're surface dwellers. And also, somebody thought that this was a good idea to support Kanye West in opening the school. And there is a culture right now, y'all, that we think that just because you have notoriety and money, that you know how to do every damn thing. And it's getting to be offensive to people who really know how to do certain things. You know what I'm saying? There are real people that know how to be principals, educators, administrators, and you just going to throw up a school and think that that's cool. And then you saying, oh, it's a Christian school. It's a prep school. It's a school for, and then you make the parents sign non-disclosure agreements. You playing.
I want to know what Iman thinking. She over
Iman, that's why I support Iman first. Iman. I need you to say something for me because I need you to make sense of this all. Because
I am genuinely trying to understand. Like, I don't know where to grab from. My question is, and it kind of excites me though, not gonna lie. You have the parents signing non-disclosure agreements. Why? Are you teaching them something from the books that have been banned? Oh, wait, you don't read. Okay. Are you teaching them about history that the government don't want people to know? But again, you said you don't read books. I just don't understand.
I'm laughing, right? But see, and here's the thing though, folks. Here's the thing, Lisa. All right, I'm gonna give you Iman a moment. Here's the thing. 100 parents said that he is qualified to teach their children. Now, I want y'all to think of this.
That's
100 parents said he's qualified to teach their children.
All right, now hold on. I'm gonna be a devil's advocate. He didn't say he was gonna be a teacher. He just may be affording the building and maybe footing the bill on the structure of the building.
Okay.
He may be in charge of the salary for the teachers and principals.
But guess what? How much you want to bet? Because it's Kanye West. And Lisa, I want you to explain this to me. This is Kanye West. What's the likelihood Kanye West is not going to say something about what the curriculum should be for his school? What's the likelihood?
It's high. I mean, Kanye West's hands is all in this, so I know that. I will also say, like Iman, I don't think he's being a teacher, but I think that says a lot that a parent, because Kanye West's name is on this, and they think it's like a pair of Yeezys, that they're willing to sign a non-disclosure agreement to send their child there. I'm just thinking about all the bad things that I've seen happen to children in places, and why would you not want to be able to say anything about that? I would not do that. I'm not sending my children anywhere where you're making me sign a non-disclosure agreement. Like, that sounds like a disaster. But this makes a lot of sense of why Kanye is the way he is, because he, like you said, he's a surface level reader. Like, he's getting the first and the end of the story. You missing all the meat and potatoes in the middle. I don't know who told him this was a good idea. His mom was a teacher, so I'm assuming maybe this is where this is coming from, and he wants to do a tribute to her. But I'm like, Kanye. I know you the college dropout. Kanye, listen.
On top of that, Lord have mercy.
This ain't it.
No, because see, here's why I think that this is, and you know, for those stories, you know how we have those stories, or you come across certain news and you're like, oh, you try to just throw it away. Like, man, that's crazy. The Kanye, wow. But here's the thing, though. There's a number of high profile people who go into spaces and thinking that they can, because of notoriety of money, that they can just go into a space and take over. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I feel like that we got to push back on that from a cultural standpoint and be like, wait a minute, hold up, yo, wait a minute. Okay, you might be funny, you might do a good song, but you ain't no doctor, you ain't no lawyer, you ain't no teacher. I mean, certain professions are already under great scrutiny. Now here come your crazy ass. And then you're going to bring...
He knows he'll have support. Like, he knows no matter what he says or does, he's going to have that support from...
Look, this ain't about Kanye.
People. He's going to have the support. When he was selling clothes with holes in them, like,
he's still selling them. He's still selling them.
He's still selling clothes with like deliberate holes in them, and it's fashion. I've seen recently, I think with Gap, he told them he wanted them to keep the clothes in the bag so people can experience what I think poor people experience, digging through clothes, something like that. Like
homelessness. Yeah.
Yes, people were still buying it. So I really think, like you said, Farajii, it's us, the culture, that make them think this type of stuff is okay. Like,
let me just share with you. So in Rolling Stone, folks, Rolling Stone is the one that really started to do a deep dive into what's going on. Rolling Stone said that the Academy's website merely notes, let me just, and we could take this off the screen, Keenan and Ariel, but Rolling Stone said in their piece, the Academy website merely notes that students' daily schedule includes, quote, full school worship, core classes of language arts, math and science, lunch and recess, enrichment courses including world language, visual art, film, choir, and parkour. Then two sources told Rolling Stone that families are required to sign non-disclosure agreements, and a consultant to the school claims only parents sign, of course, because they're children. So, of course, the parents will have to sign, and described it as an informal agreement. When do you sign something and then it's informal? Informal is, let's talk. You don't, no. Because once you sign it, it becomes a contract. It becomes it becomes a legal document. Come on, dog.
I just want to know, I know he's not going to be literally in the classroom possibly, but like, what is his curriculum going to look like? What is it that you're going to be telling these children, or what activities will children be doing for the parents to have to sign a non-disclosure agreement? I'm excited about the fact that you feel like it's some things you can't get out. I'm excited about that. Like, all right, are you teaching them some good? Are they what we doing? But at the same time, it's like Kanye, like what? But why? Like I'm on the fence. I'm excited, but like
no, I ain't on the fence. I'm sorry. I'm not sending my kids to nobody's school that made an album called College Dropout in them Space Boots 11. I'm not doing it. Not now, not ever, not because them kids gonna be making them Space Boots 11s. You got them signing this non-disclosure agreement. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. I don't trust it. There's no way that I didn't hear anything about math. I didn't hear anything about science. So you mean to tell me you just going to send children to school and not be able to read?
Stuff. Come on, let me just share with you more. Let me share with you more. Yeah, I'm telling you, and this is crazy. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. The school is not yet accredited. Still looking to hire instructions. The person that they have in this poor system, the person who's listed as their principal on the website and executive director is a sister named Breon Campbell, who leads the school's choir program. Rolling Stone has learned that Campbell has never held a formal position as an educator. According to her resume, her closest brush with a teacher position appears to be running her own piano, guitar, and singing tutoring business headquartered from her apartment.
That's teaching. That's teaching. That is teaching. That is a form of teaching.
Jesus walks. He said that. Kanye West had a whole song that said Jesus walks, but Jesus didn't say do this. Jesus didn't say do this. Nope. Nope. You might as well go get a mechanic and have him be the principal. Nope.
You got a music teacher as a principal that has no education, no formal training, rather, of not she's not educated, but no form. And this is, like I said, this is sad because the sister probably just wanted to help, right? And it's Kanye probably knew her in some way, but you put this sister on Front Street with no credentials.
You know how they say,
like, how you make it.
How some jobs, you know,
stop.
Listen. It requires a degree, but really, it's about experience. Like,
no. We're not running schools that don't require. No. We ain't running no school where you don't have a degree.
You're gonna learn on the job, like no.
No,
like, oh, we're not gonna do that tomorrow. Like, no.
She has obviously dealt with children before, so she has experience dealing with children from teaching through music. She has the experience, just not the degree, y'all. That's it.
No, we're not.
I got kids, and I shouldn't be teaching nobody kids. No. No.
My bad. My bad, y'all.
No. See, experience is one thing. Like, and let me just say this. And this is real talk. In the field of communication, for example, right? Like the field that we all work in now, right? The field of communication, you don't necessarily have to have like a PhD in communication, right? You can have a master's. You can decide to go get a PhD, right? But it's not necessarily a requirement. Now, in field of education, you need all that. You need all of that because credentials mean everything. Being certified means everything.
Not at Donda again.
Not at Donda. That's their slogan. Credentials don't matter.
Not at Donda.
No, because I agree with you, Farajii. I agree with you. In this particular case, experience and knowledge matters. This is the building blocks of the doctors and lawyers that we will have in the future. I don't want to be on an operating table getting surgery and the doctor say, I learned this on YouTube. Like, I know there are certain things that you need to know and have done and experienced. Teaching and molding young minds is one of them. You have children who have IEPs, you have special needs children. These are things you cannot just learn on a job. You need to have experience and knowledge of those things prior to starting on Monday. No, this is not going to work. No, Kanye, shut this down until you do not proceed. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. This is not it.
This is not good for the culture, y'all. This is really not good for the culture. And again, I'm bringing this up because one, he opened up a school and folks may not have known that. And two, he says that he doesn't read. So that's problematic for me. That's problematic
I
for me.
wonder if he read his non-disclosure agreement. Like, I wonder if he read that.
Come on. He must have read it because he interpreted it as an informal agreement.
He read the first and last. That's
it. You an NDA, and then he looking at the NDA. He's like, but this don't mean nothing. This is just an NDA.
Kanye, you ever a substitute teacher? You know, I've babysat children before, and I have a nephew, and I feel like I can be a substitute teacher.
All right, let me. You know what? I'm not taking no more of you right now, Iman. I'm gonna go to my online culture crew. Iman, you ride. You know what? You normally ride for the right. So you normally stand on the right side of history, but today on this Kanye West conversation, you know what, Iman? If you're blessed to have a child, if you're taking care of children, send them to Kanye West school.
Farajii, listen.
and tell me what they learned. And this, and you know why the serious, and we laughing, but this, and I look at this with all due seriousness. This leaves a bad taste in people's mouths, right? You know what I'm saying? Because we do need schools. We need schools that are culturally sensitive, that understand the plight and the struggle of Black and brown students. We need schools that's going to teach us our history. We need people to take education seriously. And that's why I brought this whole conversation up, is because it makes mockery of all of the things that we say we believe and stand for. We, as a people, there's no people that I truly believe on the face of this planet Earth other than Black people that emphasize the importance, the value of education like we do, right? We use education as the key to get out of everything from poverty to get us into a better space in terms of our racial standing in this country. The education has always been the key. So when I see Black folks don't take it seriously, it becomes offensive. And out of all people, your mom, Kanye, was a professor. Would she have wanted you to say? And I feel like every time we talk about Kanye, you got to go back to his mom and ask, what would Donda do? Because there's no way in the world she would be like, that's a good idea. I know she pumped you up and made you believe that the world is your oyster. But I know she would have said, well, Kanye, baby, do you know what it takes to run a school? Yeah, mama, I got it.
This makes me think of Dr. Umar and how he wanted to open an academy. And then even still, I think that he has credentials. He at least has credentials. He at least has, the education to do it. But it's like Kanye, let's go to our
online culture crew. Because Iman, I mean, nobody even passed you the shovel, but you just digging that hole.
That's what I'm like. I was like, who child?
I wish the best for Kanye. I really do.
Yeah, Iman, come on, yo. Jawan, you checked him. Jawan, always a faithful watcher, loyal supporter of us here on the Culture and the Black Star Network. You said, I also heard that the school isn't even accredited, so what parent in their right mind would enroll their kids there? There are a lot of people, you know what, and you know what, you're right, it's not accredited. But here's the thing, this shows us the power of celebrity. The power of celebrity is, again, and people always blame the parents and stuff, but the parents are adults, are human beings. People are enamored with celebrities. They are enamored. We all are. We all have been raised to believe that celebrity are good moral people. We don't, it breaks our hearts and it does something to our psychosis when we see celebrities do some wild shit. Whether when they violate or when their ideas don't work. We're so conditioned to believe if you have money, you have fame, then you must be morally in the right place. And we're seeing each and every day in this country, that is not the case. That regardless of all of the great incentives that celebrities have been, the materialism and all that stuff that they've been blessed with, at the end of the day, they are human beings that make wrong choices. They sometimes don't know what they're doing. And we should stop placing our hope and faith in their quote unquote brilliance all the time. Because some of them aren't as smart as we think they are.
Mm-hmm. Their PR team is great.
And you know what? That's Iman, that's the comment of the day. I'm telling you. You start to believe, somebody told me years ago, don't get into a space, Farajii, where you start to believe your own press release.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn.
Whoever wrote that press release for Donda, from a man that wears a Mexican wrestler mask and them space boots 11s, and you gonna send your kids there, good luck to you, okay? Good luck to you.
All right, let me go to some of these comments. Jawan, thank you so much. Corinna, you say Kanye simply thinks he has all power because of his stature. That stupid recent comment, argue with folks broker than me. Why keep making deals instead of your own damn company?
Well, he said, I'm gonna start my own damn school. So it's
Corinna, I don't know why. I don't know why people still do deals with him. I don't know why. Thank you so much.
He's trying to indoctrinate the children.
That's what now you're getting into nefarious purposes. You feel what I'm saying? They're getting to a dark place. Because he originally, remember, this really came out of his disdain with his child, with his daughter's school. He was like, I'm gonna take her out and I'm gonna start my own school. Y'all remember that happened like a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And he said to Kim, I'm gonna pull her out. And Kim was like, no, you're not either. You ain't pulling them out of a real school to start some school that nah, bro, you need some help. Michelle Ray, you said, will Kanye's children be attending his school? Nope. That ain't happening, Michelle. You know that. Michelle, excuse me. Conscious Thought, you said, we are talking about Kanye West, an individual has consistently projected erratic, unstable behavior. Trump Oval Office, White House spectacle. Only we denigrate each other for trying something. Are we denigrating him for trying for something? Oh, is that what we're doing?
It's them, y'all. It's them.
You know what? Here's the same thing. And this is anytime a black person get into a little situation, and somebody always be like, we always wanted down a black man. No, it's called checks and balances.
That's exactly what it is.
The culture needs checks and balances. You way out of line, bro. You way out of line, sis. The culture needs checks and balances. Why we get mad when we check our own people for some of the stupid stuff they do? From the stuff that the destructive stuff they do. Oh, we always try to down a black man. No, check me. If you see me doing wrong, check me. That's being a brother. That's being a part of a family. That's being a part of a community. No community is going to allow somebody just to go off and then we don't check them.
That is true.
Agreed.
What kind of culture is that?
But to be fair with Kanye, because I was joking Kanye, to be fair, he said something a long time ago, and I think that's another reason why he started this school. He said that there's different levels of genius, and they don't always get their due. Like, you could be a genius in music, you can be a genius in art, and they don't get the same level of respect in a traditional school. And I do agree with that a lot of the times it is just straight, book knowledge. Those are the students that are praised as the smartest, the best. And I think we do need to do a better job of making sure that everybody knows that your talent or whatever you're good at definitely has value.
Right.
So I do agree with Kanye in that regard.
Okay.
I feel like this whole should have been worded better. Like, he shouldn't have said that he doesn't read books. He probably should have added, it shouldn't have been a non-disclosure form. I just think this was presented in a better way. It will be something that we could at least take more serious or receive it well. Like, show us what the curriculum actually is. To those children that you say these geniuses need more space here and space there. Well, what programs are you going to have rather than just saying, I'm a my own school and I don't read. Like it doesn't look good. Like it doesn't look good.
And you know what?
It just better.
Like all of those elements of this conversation, just what those two pieces that you pointed out, Iman, that's how people gonna walk away. They'd be like, yo, you know, Kanye don't read, and he opened up a school where they gonna teach the children when they not to read. You know what I mean? It's gonna get into some other situation.
A meme is coming. A meme is coming.
But isn't that his preference? He reads the first and the last sentence. There you go. You following the Kanye way.
Lord,
see, and see, you know why? And here's why. This is why that's bull. Because you don't get to be a multimillionaire just reading the first and last sentence.
Ooh.
And you put that out there.
Right.
You put that out there for people to be like, well, Kanye don't read. Look at him. That's why it's destructive to the culture.
Your point just clicked in my head, Farajii. Like it's like he's abusing his power, if we could say that. Like he's literally just like, okay, I know I'm gonna have the support. Hell, let's see what happened. Like I can see how somebody from an educator, from their standpoint, Nara, I can see how she would be offended. Like, you think you can open a school, but you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this, you haven't experienced this, experienced that. So I can definitely say this could be offensive to those in that field, or those who are aspiring to open a school, just don't have the money. And you got this guy who is like, all right, because I'm Kanye, let's do this. So I understand how it can be offensive.
But that's rap culture, though. Rap culture is that, where they tell you to do one thing and they do another. That is rap culture. We have artists that are huge now that built a whole following off of telling people to do this. But LeBron James opened a school. He's not a teacher, and that school seems to be doing quite well. So I don't think it's the fact that Kanye opened the school. I think it's the fact that this is not well done. It doesn't appear that he's taking this seriously, and he just kind of wants to teach people what he wants to teach them. And that's not how this works. Like, you cannot put people back out in the world worse than they came in there. Like, that just, it doesn't sit right. It doesn't sit right.
And to your point, Lise, LeBron has always emphasized education. He's brought on people that are that have the credentials to run a school. You see what I'm saying? Like, when he opened up his school, he was super serious. Like, and I know people say, one of Kanye's collaborators say, "Oh, this is one of the most serious things." No. But even in the whole thing about, like you said, Lisa, in terms of LeBron opening the schools, like, are we? And this is a much deeper conversation. If we can open schools like we open up retail stores, that must mean that Black children should be way more educated, way more cultivated. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if that's the case, then we should be seeing a school in every major city from a Black celebrity.
Absolutely.
From Los Angeles to Baltimore.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, if it's like that, there's a reason why we're not allowed to open up schools. And I'm saying the bigger picture of that is, once you get to a certain level, and I mean financially with wealth and everything, the powers that be don't want you to go back to your neighborhood and open up no damn school to disrupt the educational experience that they already got in place. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Opening the school, you can build a playground, you can feed the homeless, give clothes to the needy.
You can influence voters.
You can influence voters.
Do a lot.
But you're talking about cultivating the next generation of Black minds and thinkers? Nah, buddy, you can't do that. You can't do it. And if you do it, if we allow you to do it, then we're going to have very tight guidelines on how far that can go. You're not going to be a real alternative, because to get into LeBron James schools and some of these other more established schools, the guidelines are real tight. The guidelines are tight. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's just so many issues and there's so many levels to this conversation. But for me, it's like, bro, let's not play with this. We know we got an education problem in this country. We know we got a problem with educating Black children, Black boys and girls. Let's not play with this. You got the school out in Simi Valley. Simi Valley is so far from the city of LA. It's like it's in a valley. You know what I'm saying? Open up a school in Compton. Open up a school in some other part that needs it. If you bring in real
but not this one. Not this one.
Not this one. Not this one.
Right.
Not this one. Man. All right.
I wish you the best, bro. I wish you the best.
I appreciate y'all. I figured y'all might really enjoy it. I didn't think that Iman lease was going to go so far.
I just got high hopes.
It's cool though. It's cool. We still love Iman, so it's all good. Lise Winnie, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us every Tuesday, and we appreciate you. Iman, keep being the superstar that you are. You're gonna make $200 million. You owe me at least $1 or $2.
Know it. I got you.
Lise, Iman, thank you for being so good for the culture. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Man, oh man, what a great show today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. Big shout out to my online culture crew. Y'all know who you are. If you are very new to watching the show, well, welcome. We hope that you enjoyed it. And we hope that you will continue to come back to tune in to have conversations, very real conversations, factually informed conversations, but we do love hearing your opinions to get your insight about these conversations. And guess what? You won't have these conversations on any other digital space or any other digital platform other than what we have here at Black Star Network. That's why we've been encouraging you to continue to support us here at blackstarnetwork.com. Support us financially, support us with the information, support us with your subscription and downloads. Thank you so much for those who have already supported us, and make sure that you continue to give to the culture and to the great work that we're doing here at Black Star. Also, make sure you check me out on all of my social media, The Real Farajii on Instagram, Farajii on Twitter, and Farajii Muhammad on Facebook. I would love to connect with you. I do follow back, and most importantly, let's continue to have these conversations as we are doing our best to try to shift the culture in a much more progressive space that is going to truly benefit all of us and our people, so and our children and our children's children. So make sure y'all connect with me on all social media platforms at Farajii Muhammad. All right, that's going to do it for me. Thank you. I want to thank my dynamic behind the scenes team, Joel and Shannon. I want to thank Ariel, my man King Keenan. I want to thank my control room for making this broadcast so good. And make sure y'all stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, folks, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Peace.